preview to have prior knowledge
of the body at this point.
It is difficult to distinguish on and sound slowly. This coating is shed just before
The heartbeat grows stronger and
during pregnancy and birth. You need time to recover.
Greetings to all of you viewers and listeners. I'm Honorato J. Garcia Jr. Together with my group members, we're here to provide some of the relevant information about fetal development. To have a good start up, I prepare introduction to have a brief preview to have prior knowledge about what is to be discussed in understanding fetal development. Prenatal development, it is said to be start with the conception when the human sex cells meet and unite in the process of sex intercourse to produce a zygote. After 2 weeks from conception, the germinal stage starts as the zygote begins to fertilize and being implanted to the endometrium of uterus to produce the human embryo. And at the end of the second week after germinal stage, the produced embryo will undergo enormous changes in second stage, which is called the embryonic stage. Then once the cell differentiation in embryonic stage completed, the embryo enters to the fetal stage. As of now, the embryo becomes fetus. Now that we have a prior knowledge on how the prenatal development occurs from the conception to the 9th week, which is the beginning of fetal stage, and a certain numbers of months of period of development that lasts until birth, we also have our few formulated questions like what is amniotic sac and its function, and what month in fetal development did the placenta develop and what its function, and what month in fetal development did the facial features and some of the organ system be developed, how embryo turns into fetus, what month is said to be a critical development for the baby in which the possibility of miscarriage can occur, define quickening, lanugo, and vernix caseosa. What month did premature birth is more possible? Enable you to provide supporting information to have a better understanding of fetal development. I will give you to Sir Bon Angelo Balidoy to discuss about what occurs in first and second month of fetal development.
Good day everyone, my name is Bon Angelo Balidoy from BS82A. I am going to discuss about the conception and the first and second month of pregnancy in fetal development. But first, how does conception work? Each month, a woman's body goes through a reproductive cycle that can end in one of two ways. They will either have menstrual period or become pregnant. The first trimester will span from conception to 12 weeks. This is generally 3 months of pregnancy. The baby will change from a small group of cells to a fetus that is starting to have a baby's feature. The first month of pregnancy. The amniotic sac is a watertight sac that forms around the fertilized egg. The placenta is also developing. It is round, flat organ that transfers the nutrients from the mother to the baby. In this stage, a primitive face will take form with a large dark eye circles from eyes, the mouth, the jaw, and the throat are developing. The tiny heart of a baby will beat 65 times a week by the end of the first week.
By the end of the first month, the baby is about 1/4 inch long, smaller than a grain of rice.
In the second month of pregnancy, the facial features continue to develop. Each ears begin as a little fold of skin at the side of the head. A tiny buds that eventually grow into arms and legs are also forming. Fingers, eyes, and toes are also forming. The baby's neural tube is well formed now. The digestive tract and sensory organs begins to develop too. Bones start to replace cartilages. The baby's head is large in proportion to the rest of the body at this point. At about 6 weeks, your baby's heartbeat can usually be detected.
Tug tug, tug tug, tug tug, tug tug.
At 8 weeks, your baby is called fetus instead of an embryo.
By the end of the second month, your baby is about 1 inch long and weighs about 1/30 of an ounce.
Good day everyone. I am Crystalline V. Agaton and I will discuss the first stage of prenatal development, which is germinal stage. This stage begins at conception when the sperm cell fertilizes the egg cell. That cell unites in one of the two fallopian tubes and form a zygote. Within just a few hours after conception, the single-celled zygote, which is fertilized egg, moves toward the uterus, a journey that can take up to a week to complete. The cell division begins approximately 24 to 36 hours after conception. Through the process of mitosis, the zygote first divides into two cells, into 4, 8, 16, and so on. The cells multiply. They will also separate into two distinctive masses, which is the outer cells will eventually become the placenta, while the inner cells form the embryo. Fetal development in third month. In this month, the embryo develops into a fetus after 10 weeks. It is 1 to 1.5 inches or 21 to 40 mm long. The tail will disappear. The umbilical cord connects to the abdomen of the fetus to the placenta. The placenta is attached to the wall of the uterus and it absorbs nutrients from the bloodstream. The cord carries nutrients and oxygen to the fetus. At this month, the baby's arm, hand, finger, feet, and toes are fully formed. Fingernails and toenails are beginning to develop, but the external ears are formed. The baby's reproductive organs are also developed, but the baby's gender is difficult to distinguish on ultrasound. At the end of this month, the baby is fully formed. All the organs and limbs are present and will continue to develop in order to become functional. Since the baby's critical development has taken place, your chance to miscarriage drops considerably after 3 months. Fetal development in 4 months. In these months, the baby's heartbeat may now audible through an instrument called Doppler. The fingers and toes are well defined. Eyelids, eyelashes, eyebrows, nails, and hair are formed. The bones become denser. The baby can even suck his or her thumbs, make faces, and stretch. The nervous system is starting to function. The reproductive system and genitalia are fully developed. You can see the baby on ultrasound to distinguish the baby's gender. At the end of the 4th month, the baby is about 6 inches long and weight is 4 ounces.
The embryonic stage lasts through 8 weeks followed by fertilization. As the embryo becomes a fetus, it moves away from the placenta and a length of tissue called umbilical cord becomes the source of attachment to the maternal blood supply. The embryonic stage is short, lasting only about 7 weeks in total, but the developments that occurs during this stage bring about innermost changes in embryo. Month 5. You may begin to feel your baby move, since he or she is developing muscle and exercising them. This first movement is called quickening. Hair begins to grow on the baby's head. Your baby's shoulders, back, and temples are covered with a soft fine hair called lanugo. This hair protects your babies and is usually shed at the end of your baby's first week of life. The baby's skin is covered with whitish coating called vernix caseosa. This cheesy substance is thought to protect the baby's skin from the long exposure to the amniotic fluid. This coating is shed just before birth, and by the end of the 5th month, your baby is about 10 inches long and weighs from 1/2 to 1 pound. Month 6. Your baby's skin is reddish in color. Wrinkles and veins are visible through the baby's translucent skin. Baby's finger and toe prints are visible. The eyelids begin to part and the eyes open. Baby responds to the sounds by moving or increasing the pulse. You may notice jerking motion if baby hiccups. If born prematurely, your baby may survive after 23rd week with intensive care. And by the end of the 6 months, your baby is about 12 inches long and weighs about 2 pounds.
So good evening to each and everyone. For tonight's video, I'm going to explain the lesson that was assigned in our group, which is the fetal development. So let's begin with the topic, fetal stage. And the topic that was assigned to me is the fetal stage. So fetal stage is also known as the one cell differentiation is mostly complete. The embryo enters the next stage and becomes known as a fetus. The fetal period of prenatal development marks more important changes in the brain. This period of development begins during the 9th week and lasts until birth. This stage is marked by amazing change and growth. The early body systems and structures established in the embryonic stage continue to develop. The neutral tube develops into the brain and spinal cord, and neurons continue to form. Once these neurons have formed, they begin to migrate to their correct locations. Synapses, or the connection between neurons, also begin to develop. Between the 9th and 12th week of gestation, at the earliest reflexes begin to emerge, the fetus begins to make reflexive motions with its arms and legs. 4. During the 3rd month of gestation, the sex organs begin to differentiate. By the end of the month, all parts of the body will be formed. At this point, the fetus weighs around 3 ounces and the fetus continues to grow in both weight and length. Although the majority of the physical growth occurs in the later stages of pregnancy. The end of the 3rd month also marks the end of the first trimester of pregnancy. During the 2nd trimester, or months 4 through 6, the heartbeat grows stronger and other body systems become further developed. Fingernails, hair, eyelashes, and toenails form. 5. Perhaps most noticeably, the fetus increases about 6 times in size. So what's going on inside the brain during this important period of prenatal development? The brain and central nervous system also become more responsive during the 2nd trimester. Around 28 weeks, the brain starts to mature faster with an activity that greatly resembles of a sleeping newborn. And during the period from 7 months until birth, the fetus continues to develop, put on weight, and prepare for life outside the womb. The lungs begin to expand and contract, preparing the muscles for breathing. While development usually follows this normal pattern, there are times when problems with prenatal development occur. Disease, malnutrition, and other prenatal influences can have a powerful impact on how the brain develops during this critical period. So, That's all for tonight, and that is the meaning of fetal stage. And for tonight's video again, I will going to explain the month of the 7 development pregnancy in the womb of a mother. So the meaning of 7 month development in the womb of a mother is at the end of the 7th month of pregnancy, fat begins to be deposited on your baby. Your baby is about 36 centimeter or 14 inches long and weighs from about 900 to 1,800 grams. 2 to 4 pounds. Your baby's hearing is fully developed and he or she changes position frequently and responds to stimuli, including sound, pain, and light. If born prematurely, your baby would probably survive after 7 months of pregnancy. So, the month 8 of pregnancy is your baby, who is now about 46 centimeter or 18 inches long and weighs as much as about 2.27 kilogram or 5 pounds, will continue to mature and develop body fat reserves. You may notice that your baby is kicking more. Baby's brain is developing rapidly at this time, and he or she can see and hear. Most internal systems are well developed, but the lungs may still be immature.
I am Jamaica R. Asuncion. Month 9. In this month, the baby is continues to grow and mature. The lungs are nearly fully developed. The baby's reflexes is coordinated so he or she can blink, close the eyes, turn the head, and grasp firmly and respond to sounds, light, and touch. The baby is definitely ready to enter the world. You may notice that the baby moves less due to tight space. The baby's position changes to prepare itself. The baby drops down in pelvis. Usually the head is down toward the birth canal. The baby is about 18 to 20 inches long and weighs about 7 pounds. After giving birth, a self-care for a new mom is a must. Self-care is not only important for you, it's important that you take care of yourself, for your child, and for your family. Number 1, you need to rest. You may not get a solid 8 hours sleep for several months because a newborn baby wakes up every 3 years and needs to be fed, changed, and comforted. Sleeps when your baby sleeps. Get a few minutes outside each day. And number 2, you need to take nutritious food. Your body has undergone many changes during pregnancy and birth. You need time to recover. In addition to that, you need to eat healthy foods like vegetables, grains, milk, fruits, and foods with protein for you and for your baby.